Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared. Hello, everybody. We are so excited for this episode. This episode has been like something we wanted to do for so long in two ways. So first, let me just tell you, we're doing the Blair Witch Project. Gosh, we've wanted to do this for so long. So that's the first thing. The second piece is we have an amazing guest. We have Eryka from Horror Cafe Podcast. Welcome, Eryka.
Yay. Hi. Thanks for having me.
We have wanted to record with you for so long. So not only have we wanted to record with Eryka, we've wanted to record the Blair Witch Project. So this is an epic occasion, in my opinion. Epic.
Yes. I think we've been planning this for months, right?
Yes. Yeah. Years almost. Just recording with you. Not necessarily with Blair Witch, but...
Yeah.
Okay, but before we jump into all the stuff where we learn more about Eryka and her amazing podcast and Blair Witch, what is everybody drinking? Let's start with Eryka. What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm in a sparkling water kick.
Ooh.
I recently started liking it, which is interesting. And I'm actually drinking from the Target brand Yuzu Mandarin Sparkling Water. It's a pretty bottle. I mean, can.
That is pretty.
Yummy.
So that's what I'm drinking because it's hot. It's hot here.
How hot is it there?
It's 96, but it feels like over 100. I know yesterday our heat index was 111.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. Good times.
Yes,
I go outside to throw garbage and it's like instant sweat.
Oh my God, I bet, dude.
Yeah.
Ew.
No thanks. It's awful.
Hate the humidity. It's 96 here. Felicia's probably got us beat.
I think so.
Yeah, it's averaging about 118 every day.
Oh my God,
oh, no.
dude.
It's so hot that when you go outside, we're now at the point where like throughout the entire year, I'm like, oh my God, it's gorgeous. I love living here. And then it's now at a point where we're talking about moving to Colorado. Like we're over it. You can't even like by the time, I drove all the way out to pick up a dress that I had altered. I drove all the way out. It was about a 30-minute drive. And when I got there, it still wasn't cool. It got cool when I was finally almost all the way back. And if you jump out to go to like the grocery store, boom, the car is all heated up again. It's pretty miserable.
That's way too hot.
Yeah, way too hot.
It is. It's too much. It's bad for makeup. It's bad for hair. It's bad for everything.
But Tawny, what are you drinking?
I have one of the athletic brews, the golden upside down.
That's a good one.
I'm taking a little drinking hiatus, so today is actually 2 weeks of not drinking, and this next week is going to be a little difficult to not drink because it's my like company event thing. Like everybody's flying in from wherever they work, and we're going to be doing some work activities. And my workplace is a marketing agency, and so we got, some drinking culture, I think. So it'll be a little interesting. But yeah, that's what I got. Felicia, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a big old, it's not old, sorry. Big old, I meant like OL apostrophe.
Or like ye old water.
Yes.
Ye old.
Nice fresh glass of lemon water in my very favorite NaNoWriMo glass. I just love this thing. I'm not even using words right today. It's not a glass. Tumbler? Whatever. But that's what I'm drinking.
Keeps it cold.
I'm on this lemon water kick, squeezing fresh lemons in everything I drink. Yeah,
it's refreshing. That sounds good too. Yeah.
It is very much refreshing. Thank you. All right. Let's go ahead and pop in and let's talk about Eryka. Eryka, can you please tell us about you, your podcast, all that good stuff?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Eryka. I'm also a fellow Aquarian like you ladies, which I don't know. In my life, I've never met anybody with my exact birthday and just even a day after. So that's how we kind of all connected too, which is cool. So yes, my podcast or our podcast is Horror Cafe Podcast, and my co-host is actually my mom.
So
and
fun.
We love horror movies together. We're best friends, and that's why we decided to do it. We would always watch horror movies and literally have this long discussion after watching any horror movie. And then one day, I just go, "Hey, Mom, you want to do a podcast? Because we do this all the time. Let's just put it out there and see what happens." And that's how Horror Cafe Podcast came to be. And here we are. Still, we're on, just like you guys, we're on season 3 already as well.
Wow. Have you been doing it for 3 years?
Yeah.
You
for
count
3 years.
a year a season? Okay, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's created a really nice memory, at least for me as the child, with my mom. I'm sure for her it's the same. And I mean, I have this amazing memory with her forever now. Like, I can go back and listen to it, and we've had some really good times and have discovered, things about ourselves, and even meeting other people in the community, which has been a lot of fun. Horror really brings people together. We're not that scary.
No. I just have a question that occurred to me. What would you say, like, what's the biggest difference between you guys in terms of, like, things that you like?
In horror, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like your preferences as far as, like, movies go.
So we kind of like the same things. I definitely, I'm into the found footage, low budget. That's my thing. She likes more gore. Like, she'll be more on the gore side. I'm not. Like, I'll watch it here and there, but it's not something I like to stomach. But we both genuinely like ghost stories more. Slashers are not a big thing. Like, we'll watch it as well. We'll watch the Halloweens and the Screams we enjoy. But not too much of a difference. And we like the elevated horror, art house horror a lot together. So we have a good time because we don't disagree often, which when we do, it's actually funner because then we can argue back and forth why we like it or why we don't like it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And I also love these news episodes that you're doing with Josh from HMC.
Oh, yes. Oh, he's going to kill me. Yes, I'm also now partnering with HMC Studios. I do In the News with Josh, and then just random list episodes, which I love because I love lists of anything. Like, if there's a list out there, I want it. Like, send me lists. I love looking at top 10 ghost stories, top 10 zombie movies, top 10 movies of all time, because it changes all the time anyway, but it's so much fun. So yeah, go check me out over there too, because I'm there weekly, basically. So yeah, it's fun.
And where do they find you? What's your handle?
It's at Horror Cafe Podcast over on Instagram, and Facebook it's Horror Cafe Podcast, and with HMC it's HMC Studios is their handle as well.
Nice.
That's awesome. You're like everywhere. It's actually very interesting to be doing this recording with you because I have to remind myself that like our listeners may not know you. Like, we know you. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm all over the place. And yeah. I love it. I love getting to know everyone in our circle and getting to know other people as they start out as well. And like Elm Street, I feel like we all know Elm Street, but if they don't know who, if the person's not listening, like it's just been really fun getting to meet everybody. Like when we had the Stabbies Award and I got to meet everybody. I was like, oh my God, everybody's real. It's so exciting. I'm like the little kid who came in and I'm like, yay.
I think
a lot of fun.
Showing everyone around the world that horror people are like really special. When I was at, I mentioned this last episode, I believe, when I was at a Shabbat service last week, the rabbi, I know him, and his wife loves horror movies. So he mentioned the podcast and, that what she thought about it and stuff like that. And one of the people went, "Oh my gosh, horror podcast? You watch horror movies? You seem like such a sane and nice person." And I'm like, oh, the horror community is so incredibly nice and fun. And I know that it seems odd because the content is so dark. That how is the content so dark and we're so light and happy and inclusive and all of that. So
you were like, don't get me started.
Don't even get me started.
Don't get us started.
I will create a presentation on this and I'll share with everybody. Let's get into it.
That would be great. That's happened to me too. When I tell people that I have a horror podcast or that I love horror movies, what? Like, what do you mean? It's not that weird, guys. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're a fun community, believe it or not. So I get it.
All right. So I'm curious. So usually we ask, why did you choose this movie? But we kind of like chose it for you, but you were interested in it because you like found footage. But how about what made you excited to do this movie with us? Because I know there's a few movies we want to do with you, but this one in particular, what made you excited about it?
Well, one, that you like found footage. So I don't think it's easy to find people that like found footage. So when I saw you ladies were doing so many episodes and you did the polls, I'm like, ooh, you guys haven't done the Blair Witch. I mean, I went and looked through every single episode and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Because the Blair Witch Project is the holy grail of found footage, right? In my mind, and I think in pop culture and in horror, I think it's regarded as the holy grail of found footage. So I was excited to do what I consider the holy grail, or what's considered, and that could be up for debate, the ultimate found footage. This is what catapulted found footage into all the content that we have today. So it's exciting to be able to talk to you ladies about it. And I'm curious, especially after watching it last night, I'm like, I wonder what they think. So it's exciting. And I think I didn't realize it was going to be your last of the found footage. So I think that's the perfect way to end the theme with the big one.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. And don't worry, everybody. We definitely will watch a found footage movie in the future, I'm sure. It will fall into place. But yeah, as far as our themed 2 months long.
Yeah.
And the search, for me, it was the search for a good found footage movie. And then Tawny, it was awesome. She had a lot of great experiences along the way.
I did, yeah.
I had fun with you, Tawny. Don't worry.
I just love this subgenre. I think it's, I don't know. I dare I say, it's my favorite subgenre.
It's mine.
I might be overselling it. Okay, yeah.
I might be overselling it.
Well, you I don't want to commit because I'm like, what if I actually get off this call and then I'm like, shit, I should have said this,
The idea
I'll commit for you.
It,
it's mine.
Okay,
nice. I like that strong stance. The idea of it makes me feel like it would be. But I think the majority of movies I've experienced would make it not, if that makes sense.
Like we're pushing you further from found footage, and that is sad.
Because I feel like this would be the epitome of something that would terrify me and that I would absolutely love. So we'll see.
What
Dying
to know.
What should we find? Does anybody have? Because I have all these wonderful questions we love to ask our guests, and you just like when you first introduced yourself, you hit them all. It was like boom, 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 boom. So this was great. How about, is there anything anybody is reading or watching or listening to of note that they want to share, that they want to say, hey, people, you should check this out?
Well, I have to admit, I haven't been reading much or watching anything. If you're a gamer, I've been obsessed with Jedi Survivor, and that's all I've been doing. I've put in 28 hours into this game.
I love it.
So that's why I have been so behind on the ruins, on reading the book, because every night I'm like, I really want to play this game, so turn on the PlayStation, and that's what I've been really addicted to. So if you're into video games, I recommend the game so far. It's a lot of fun, and you're getting a lot of bang for your buck because every time I think the game is ending, it just keeps going and going. And you get to play a Jedi, which if you're a Star Wars fan, then there you go. You get to play a Jedi, which is always fun.
Is this a new one? A new game?
Yeah, it came out March?
Okay.
March-ish? It came out a few months ago, but I just got it recently.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Eryka's totally busted because Eryka is the quarter of Show Us Your Spines. So the book club that we all started, Eryka and then Mark with a podcast on Elm Street, and Brooke, actually, both of them. So yeah, we're reading The Ruins, and I'm reading so many books that I was trying to make really good progress through The Ruins, and I was getting through it. And then in a little group chat we have, Eryka and Mark was like, oh yeah, we haven't even read it. So I pumped the brakes and I picked up another book.
I feel terrible, but the game's got me on hold. The Force has got me.
And nothing against The Ruins, actually nothing against it, but there was, I really, really, really wanted to read Wayward. It has some witches in it, and I really wanted to read that, and it's been nagging me sitting on my shelf. And so I thought I would take a break since you guys are, and I'll switch gears.
I'll be back.
Nice.
Once I beat the game.
How about you, Tawny?
I'm reading right now an actual horror book. I'm doing it. I'm like 100 pages in.
Which
so
one?
I've crossed the threshold. I am going to tell you.
Sorry. It's so impatient. What is it?
What is it?
The music. I can't remember that author.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this is the one that Kara recommended, and Kara actually sent me a copy. So I'm reading it, it's taking me a long time because it's like a physical book. It just takes me longer to read physical books rather than having it on like Kindle Unlimited on my phone. But I am liking it a lot, and it is pretty interesting of a book, pretty tense, and I don't really like fully know where the story's going. So that's what I'm doing. And actually, this is a perfect segue because we have a patron shout out to Kara.
Woo!
So let me pull up her message, because I was like, I mean, you've been on the podcast before. We read your comments a lot. I was like, I don't know what you want to say for your patron shout out, because we talk about you a lot. But she just said that there's only 102 days as of 7/21 until Halloween. So that is her shout out. But you should also check out Kara's. She's doing a book review page. And so if you just search on Instagram, written_by Kara, Kara, you can follow her there. And she's got great reviews. Very funny.
Yeah, I mentioned that to her. I was like, I don't know if these are meant to be funny, but these are funny and I'm loving them. She's like, I think it's just because I'm funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I love
her. She is the greatest. So follow her for more book recs. And she's doing a great job. I also was telling Paige about this book, theme music, and she started and finished it. So, but she won't tell me how she felt because she doesn't want to spoil it. Last thing that I'll add here for what I've been doing. I'm also back on the video game train. We've been playing Elden Ring a lot over the last several days. So that's fun.
So you get it. Once you get into it, it's awfully great.
Yes, but you can't. You're right. Like, we haven't been watching really much of anything, and it's been hard to like even read because I'm like, all my free time, I just want to play Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I'm getting real good at killing invaders. Okay, I don't know. It's great.
I have that on my wish list. Like, I'll get to that one. I just know that one's another long, epic.
Oh my god,
game.
It's so long. I put in 80 hours. And it shows that I'm only like 16% through the story.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Exactly.
It's fucking massive, dude. It's a massive map. Huge game. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but that's over the last
put that
year.
When I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Felicia, tell us your updates. What have you been watching, listening to?
So I was just thinking, because you guys both mentioned like these really badass games that you're playing, and it just makes you guys so badass. And for myself, what popped into my head is last Thursday, Sims released Sims Ranch. So now you can own a ranch and you could have horses and train horses and sheep. So that's been fun.
Listen, The Sims is legit. I used to be really addicted to The Sims.
Yes.
It's just so cool. And I want to have a ranch. So
I was going to say, you get to live out your Yellowstone dreams.
Yes, exactly. It's fun.
a win-win.
All the kids get super excited and we all like count down for the launch and everyone's been playing that.
Fun.
That is fun.
But as far as, watched most recently, I watched the Barbie movie and we had just a really great time with my girls watching the Barbie movie. I thought it was sweet. It was funny. I agree with Eryka. Ryan Gosling. Oh my God. He stole the show.
He did.
He put his whole self into being Ken. And I laughed so many times throughout it. It is silly. I like some of the message in it and this different look of Barbie as well from a different point of view of empowering women or that being in the intention, because I think so often it's most like Barbie is so horrible because of, her figure and what it means to be an ideal woman is unattainable. And I think that's a lot in the culture. And they do mention a little bit of that. But then from the other side of that, not being the case, that Barbie was made to empower women. It was just, I fucking loved it, man. So that's that. As far as reading, guys, I just started Wayward. I just mentioned this. I literally read 8 pages before I logged into this podcast. And it was really exciting. My heart was racing. So good opening.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, that's
8 pages,
good.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so anxious. I was like, oh, I need to calm down. All right. What do you guys want to do? You want to start? Want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cool. Let's do it. All right, everyone. If you're joining us late, which I don't know how that'd be possible if you started from the beginning, but we are talking about the Blair Witch Project from 1999. I rented it on Amazon Prime Video. The directors were Eduardo Sánchez and Daniel Myrick. Both of them, additional movies that they did was Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, and that's it. And then Eduardo Sánchez also did Blair Witch, just Blair Witch, which we almost watched the wrong run. My husband almost started the wrong one, but this is supposedly the third film, and a film called The Objective. And Daniel Myrick also did VHS 2 and a movie called Exists. My S's. There was a lot of S's there. All right. So the cast. I only wrote the 3 main people. Heather Donahue as Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams as Michael Mike Williams, and Joshua Leonard as Joshua Josh Leonard. All right. Got it? Okay, guys. This was exciting to uncover. And I was like, whoa. So let me tell you. Budget was $60,000. Box office was $248.6 million. This film was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the top budget box office ratio for a feature film. And then they have math here. It was like the film cost $60,000 to make, and it brought back $248 million, a ratio of $1 spent for every 10,931 made. As soon as there was all this math, I kind of just dropped. But wow, right? Because we always look at this and go, oh, they made their money back. Oh, this is insane.
Yeah.
Incredible. This is crazy. Insane how much money they made.
Yeah.
Didn't Paranormal Activity unseat this as the most return? I think that's the only one maybe that's done better, because that was $10,000 to something. I don't remember what the box office was there, but
that's incredible.
I think it is
footage.
Though. Yeah.
All right. So Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 86%, IMDb 6.5 out of 10, and then Letterboxd 3.3 out of 5. So Tawny, we've gone back and forth a lot on 2 Minutes with Tawny. I do have a little summary here. Would you like me to read it? Okay.
Yeah.
Just yes, please. Sure. Super simple and straightforward. What I have for you is, I guess, turn back now, because we're going to spoil the shit out of it, but my summary is not going to spoil much. 3 student filmmakers, Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard, hike into the Black Hills near Burkittsville, Maryland in 1994 to film a documentary about a local myth known as Blair Witch. The 3 disappear, but their equipment and footage are discovered a year later. That's it. That's what I got.
Everybody knows what happens in this movie. I feel like even if you've never watched it, you know.
Because pop culture has made this movie huge, even outside of horror. I think that's probably why it's so popular, that it hit with even non-horror fans, it seems like.
Yeah, this could totally hit with, especially all people out there that are even slightly interested in true crime. Mm-hmm. Maybe not horror, but true crime. Because of, you know, especially back then when everyone believed that this was real. Awesome. Okay, so let's start. Eryka, how did you feel about this movie, even with the second watch? Give us a little summary.
So I have watched this movie several times. I've always liked it. The ending is what makes the movie for me, because honestly, when I watched it last night, I was a little underwhelmed a lot of the time, which I think it has to do with, I've watched so many, and I'm talking about a lot of found footage at this point, that it's hard. You can't compare it. It was a different time back in 1999, but I felt underwhelmed watching it this time. And it actually upset me because I have this, I think I rated this on Letterboxd as a 5, but I don't feel the same. I still very much enjoy it, but I do realize that it's pretty underwhelming. The ending is still very effective to me, but yeah, I'm sadly underwhelmed with it on this, I don't know, like 10th watch. I've seen it a lot. I've watched this movie a lot, and this is the first time that I'm like, I'm not feeling it like I normally have. So it's interesting. It's an interesting feeling on this one. I'm scared. In a fun way. It's like, oh no. I'm dying to know what you guys think.
You probably never want to watch it again, because if it's going to keep just getting worse.
Well, that's true, but I would still watch it. It's definitely not something I would pick out of a lineup of found footage. I would pick over so many. I would pick over this movie. Like, definitely. Even paranormal. I would pick Paranormal Activity over this. Hell House. Like, there's so many more that I personally enjoy that it's moved down significantly. But I do give it the credit where it's due, that if it wasn't for this, I don't know if found footage would have catapulted to where it is now. Because you can see where all the other movies have taken inspiration from this one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about your other ones that you maybe could potentially pick over this one, because we are going to record a little extra segment for our Patreon members with Eryka on some other found footage movies. So I'm excited to hear more about that. And if you want to hear more about that, go to our Patreon. But so interesting. I have a feeling that we're all going to land in like a very different place with this movie.
That's exciting.
Okay, it's me?
Yep.
Okay. I feel like the opposite way, in the way that I don't think it's a secret at this point that I fucking love this movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. It scared the shit out of me when I saw it for the first time. I was like 14. I was convinced it was real for a while. Terrifying. And watching it, I have also watched it several times over the years. And every fucking time, it just doesn't lose any of its punch for me. I love this movie, but I've heard like several people over the last couple years now rewatch it and have that same feeling, like that they're either underwhelmed, or that they just didn't like it at all. Like maybe people who hadn't seen it at all and they watched it and they were like, this is not good. And I just like fucking love this movie. And I will say the one part that did feel a little underwhelming to me is the end. I love the end. I love that you don't see anything. I wish there was maybe just one more shot. And I think like you're saying, Eryka, that might be due to watching so many other found footage movies that I just want something else to be like a little scarier stuck in there at this point. But aside from that, I feel like this is a perfect movie to me, almost. Like,
oh, wow.
No notes. No notes.
Perfect.
It's just great. I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
I stand by it. I stand by it.
Oh no, Felicia's up.
I know. No, you go.
I have a prediction, so let's see.
No. I am right in the middle of you both. I really liked it.
Okay.
I thought the acting was fucking great.
Impeccable,
dude. They were
impeccable.
so good. Not like believable, so good. And I have notes on that for the future. Really, really good. I liked the movie. I really loved the ending. It was eerie. But for me, the main thing is what would have made it excellent to me is if they had more visuals and more throughout. So for example, they're running. Did you see that? Did you? No, I didn't. Like I fucking didn't. So they're just running, right? Now the acting is good, so they're scared. So I'm in it, but I'm desperately wanting to see even a glimpse of something, even something super fast. Like maybe since people are screwing with their tent, hey, let's set up a camera, like maybe at the opening of our tent and see if we can catch who's putting these little things out, right? And then maybe even just a shadow or like something rush past in the something small, but something. So now I'm like, oh my God, did you see that? Because there was nothing. Or when they're screaming, oh my God, did you hear that? No, I didn't hear any of it. And Steve, my oldest daughter, we all watched it together. Like that was the biggest thing is I want to feel like, oh my God, did you hear that? And then have them go, oh, did you hear that? But I wasn't a part of any of that, so the creepiest part was the ending. The acting was good and the story was good. So I I liked it the most of all the things that we've watched so far for the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or just for found footage.
I guess I could say just for found footage with exception to, I had a great fun time with Cloverfield.
Right. Okay.
So, but other than that, with the found footage I've watched, yes, I liked this one the best. Oh, wait, besides Paranormal Activity. Sorry, that was, I think, my favorite.
Okay.
But we didn't watch it for the podcast, so.
I think that's where I'm having the issue, Felicia. I think you hit it. It's that I wanted a little bit more. I'm fine with less is more. I like that we don't ever see her, it, him, the witch. I'm fine with that. But there is that sense of the screaming of, did you hear, did you see? And you don't see a thing, which it was so muted that I just wanted that. That would have been great. Just put the camera outside, a shadow, something a little bit extra, because I still like it. It's just, I think it's that I'm tainted by too many other movies that have now maybe mastered it better, that now going backwards, it's like, oh, we could have kicked that up a notch a little bit. But I think what sells it too is I agree, the acting is, just the marketing on this movie. I remember when this movie came out. I was 11 when this came out, and I remember the internet was going crazy, going to the website, seeing all the missing persons posters for these actors. They thought they were dead. I think that added a lot to the movie, which made it cool, right? Like, is this real? And it looks real. Like, out of all the found footage, they feel very genuine in what's going on.
And not only them, but everybody that they're interviewing.
Yeah.
Usually when you get to the people that are being interviewed, God, they suck.
It's awkward. Yeah.
They were all so realistic, all of them. And I'll tell you, I even watched the Blair Witch the mockumentary. I watched that. Yes.
Okay.
And even all of those people that were interviewed for this mockumentary or this documentary were so realistic. I was totally encaptured by them and looking them up. Is this person really a professor of this? And they just had to be in the movie because he's so realistic how he's sharing it. Yeah. But it was really
I agree 100% on the extras. Jade watched it again with me, also commented on you would think that these extras would suck because they didn't have that much money and they seem like they're just grabbing people off the street, honestly. Like, I don't even know that they like did casting for those people. They just grab people there, but they sell it. I will say, just like as another, for me, I love the subtlety actually of like never seeing anything for some reason. Like, again, that hits for me. Like, I love that you don't see it because, like you're saying, Eryka, now you do get to see stuff, but it feels manufactured because we're used to that as an audience. And so I think like people with cameras out in the middle of nowhere running for their life, of course, they're not going to stop and actually capture the thing, you know, like that's too cinematic. But I do wish that the sounds were better. I was thinking while I was watching it, like, I wish I could experience this in a theater with like surround sound up really loud so I could actually hear the things that they're hearing. Because I think they're there, they're just really quiet. So we had to turn it way the fuck up. But even then, it's really quiet and you can't hear it. But when you catch a little bit of it, like the weird voices out there, not Josh's, but before that, it's like chilling. I just wish you could hear it better. But yeah, I mean, it was made in 1999. It's like, this is an old movie at this point, you know?
I was bought into
love
it.
To watch it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead,
you're
Eryka.
good.
Nope, you're the guest. You go.
I would love to watch this in a theater. Like, if they ever re-release it, you know, they love to do that maybe on its 20th or, well, I don't know how old it is now, but on some anniversary, if they re-release it in the theater, I would definitely go watch it because I think it's meant to be experienced in the theater.
Agreed.
So some credit to these and totally reinforcing my stance that there are a lot of amazing people out there that want to be actors. So just spend a little bit more time finding the good ones to other filmmakers, please. So the way that they cast this is they actually just ran an ad in, it's called I believe it's called Backstreet. Hold on one second. Sorry. Backstage.
Backstreet Boys? Just kidding.
No. So how they did is they just put in an ad. There is a magazine called Backstage Magazine that's just like everything industry related. So they just placed an ad, and the ad said for a completely improvised film in a wooded location. So really the main thing that they were looking for is people that had improv skills. So they were so good. And it was completely improvised.
Wow.
That just blows me away. That totally blows me away. But another addition to this, so going back last episode or the episode before when I was put the question out there, can there be a good found footage film if there's not some reality to it? This particular film, there was a lot of reality in these people's reactions. So for example, they really were just set out into the forest with a camera and they had a walkie-talkie with the director, right? So a lot of times, several times, they actually did get lost. So a lot of that emotion could have been very real. That element of reality that I think really helps to solidify it. Also, and then I'll be quiet so someone else can share. The part in the tent where they go running out of the tent, like all frantic through the forest, they actually were sleeping in the tent and the director snuck up and shook the tent. And so and they didn't know that he was going to do that. So we're getting a lot of real reactions from the actors, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're bad, not at all, because they also have to maintain the story. They're improvised. They have great, realistic conversations. So they're excellent. There's also that added fear or reactions from being lost in the forest and not knowing which way to go and different things like that.
Interesting. That makes sense, though, for the added layer of believability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think what adds fear to this movie, besides the witch, right, is that fear of being lost.
Yes.
And not knowing where you're going. I almost feel like, not as bad, at least not for me. The Blair Witch Project did what Jaws did for the ocean, but for the forest, right? Like, you kind of are a little bit more scared stepping into a forest because you don't know what's out there. I mean, anything could be out there. There's a lot of forest in this country alone that is uncharted, undiscovered. Maybe there is something out there that we don't know, or just bad people. And the idea of being lost without food, at least they kind of had water, but just this mindless circle, that added a lot of fear and anxiety that could really happen to you. And I think anybody can relate to that fear of being lost. And that's awful. Like, not knowing where you're going is a bad feeling. And I think they really kicked that up, especially with the argument between Heather and Mike. Them two were so bad with each other. It was great, though, because I think a group of friends would end up arguing like that because of that.
I agree completely. And definitely, I said this on our last episode, I think this movie planted the fear in me of being lost. And so I have like a deep anxiety about getting lost, especially out in the middle of nowhere. Like, this movie did that to me. And I almost, like you're saying, like, the Blair Witch stuff is scary, but I feel like it's secondary scary to actually just getting fucking lost in the middle of nowhere. Like, that is fucking terrifying to me. So I think that's why this movie continues to scare the shit out of me, because I'm just like, the idea of walking around not knowing where you're going, and also like the distrust amongst the group and all of that, like, dynamic, like, it just is horrifying.
And then add that element of being watched, because even though they're lost, somebody's watching them, whatever it is. And that's freaky too.
Ooh, when they say, whoever this is, they know that Josh is gone. Ugh, like, yeah. I hate it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention, Eryka, is when we were watching it. So both my daughter and my husband, they liked the movie. They hated Heather. They could not stand Heather. And that's funny, because typically I'm the one that's the most sensitive to the actors and their voices and stuff, but I didn't hate her. I thought that she was very believable in her reactions. Yeah, but they couldn't stand her. But I framed it, I think it was for a good reason. I think it's because you're really aligning with the guys panicking about being lost. And she's constantly in this documentary filmmaker mindset, urging them on, kind of like, you know, pushing aside, like, don't worry about it, I know where we're going. And so that was effective. But when they were inside the tents and when they woke up and there was the little rock piles and things like that, I stopped and I looked at them and I go, you guys, this would be fucking terrifying. So not only are you lost, you go to sleep, and when you wake up, somebody has snuck into your campsite and placed these things around. That's terrifying, even if it's just someone who's messing with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a witch. That's still very scary, because they have malicious intents, because this is going, you know, over several nights, and how terrifying that would be. And both of them went, yeah, that would be scary. Like, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, you got that line from Mike where him and Heather are talking, and he's like, if this is just people out here messing with us, like, I don't want to fuck with that. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy people. And she's like, well, what if it's not? He's like, or I don't even think he's prompted. He's like, even if it's not, I don't want to fuck with that either. Yeah. Like, the dialogue also is impeccable in this movie, because they just talk like such normal fucking adults. And sometimes I wonder, like, will this movie seem dated? Not really, in my opinion. I feel like, obviously, you can tell the date kind of in what they're doing, the equipment that they have and stuff, but I just feel like it's such a universal feeling in the way that they talk with each other that's, like, I don't know, applicable now because of that same thought process. If this is people fucking with us, we got to get the fuck out of here. If it's not, we also get to get the fuck out. None of this is good. We're fucked.
I have to highlight one of my favorite actors in this movie, which is such a small scene, and it's that woman's baby. How amazing was that realistic reaction?
Great timing.
That little girl going, no, and covering her mouth and not wanting her to talk about it. I bet that while they were filming, they're like, in their minds, dude, this is gold. Yes, baby, yes.
Yes. It was great reaction.
Oh, for years, I bet they were like, can you believe that shot that we got with that fucking toddler? Oh, and it's so realistic. Story.
Yeah.
You know, kids don't act the way that you expect them to. And I just was like, yeah, this is great.
That leads me. Oh, go ahead, Felicia.
Nope, you go.
That leads me. So something I picked up on this watch that I never have before, which amazed me, I really had to question at the end of the movie. Well, yes and no, because I did think of this theory, but I didn't realize that story about the hermit that was living in the woods for so long, you know, and killed the 7 kids, right? I don't know why I missed that story. I thought it was the witch who was doing that, like kidnapping the kids and the whole basement thing, the coroner. I didn't realize it was an actual human being that was doing that. So then it really makes me question the ending of, and just the movie. Is it somebody physical that's doing this? Or maybe under the influence of the witch? And then, of course, when you go on the internet, there's so many rabbit holes about this movie. It's insane because you can argue that it's Josh who's doing this, that she kind of kidnapped him and made him a puppet, and then that's him at the end that's cornering Mike and hits Heather at the end. I don't know. I realized that ending, like that physical component of it, but I never really put the 2 and 2 together that I thought it was the witch the whole time, and I totally forgot about that hermit story. So there isn't a human element to this that I think she's controlling people to do her stuff. That's pretty cool of her.
Yes. Okay. Whew. So
rabbit
hole central, all the witches, all the things. So, and then that documentary the mockumentary that explains more and explains all these different stories. So I think that's exactly what it is, or a mixture. I think it all bleeds together like folklore does, because back in the day, from what I've read, that back in the day in the town, there's a whole history with the witch, and her name is Ellie Kendrick, right?
Yeah.
And went down a rabbit hole with that too and researched her family. I love this. Okay, but Felicia, rein it in. Ellie, after a bunch of stuff that she experienced when she was living in the town and she was exiled, some of the children went missing. I think there were 7 children that went missing, never to be found. And they blamed her for it. But at the time, the whole town then escaped. Like they left, they abandoned the town of Blair. They totally abandoned it. Because they were scared of her and thinking that she had done this to all these kids. Fast forward, this town that this is shot in, I totally just forgot the name, Burkittsville, was built over Blair, right? So someone came, built it over the town. And there was a man that lived in this town that was doing that, killed children, brought them, made one of them turn and face the wall. Well, they killed the other one, really detailed about really gross gore, how he killed them, because one little boy escaped. And so he went and he told them. And he told the police. So when they captured this guy, he was saying that a witch, or that he heard a voice that made him do it, that told him to do these things. And then someone goes, "Oh, do you think it was the Blair Witch?" And he goes, "Maybe." So it's kind of like all the stories are blending together with this, lore about the Blair Witch. That was really
Which makes
condensed.
sense. Like you're saying, like folklore wise,
Yeah.
You can see it when they're getting interviewed because, they have the townspeople telling their version of the myth. And then you also, when they go see that lady in the house that's all by herself, I guess the crazy Mary lady, and she's describing a half human, half animal as the witch. And I think it is evident of that, right? All this blending of myth and whispers of what their true story is, and that's how we got our ending. We don't know. I think you can kind of make it your own in a way, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, but yes. And when you go into the history of Ellie, who is the Blair Witch, or was dubbed the Blair Witch, I mean, is it even real? I mean, it's not real. I get that, guys. But I mean, in the storyland, is it real? Is she a witch? Is she controlling anyone? Because it's devastating. Her story of, her father died, her mother died 3 days later in childbirth. Someone found her, this vagrant, and dropped her off. She was an orphan at birth, all of this. There's also another story that actually her father didn't die and she was abused sexually and emotionally. The father was drawn up and quartered, like this whole horrific time and time again of just being violated and beaten down until she escapes herself, just like escapes society. So this poor woman, this poor girl grown into a woman who's just constantly abused, and just this whole idea of her being weird and othered and then being labeled a witch when she really has not done anything to deserve to be even considered a witch or whatever the case may be. And so is she out here really, really doing that? But maybe she is. Maybe her spirit's pissed off because of how everybody treated her. So
interesting.
There's also an element of when they took her and tied her to a tree. I'm sure you guys have heard this story. So they took Ellie and accused her of being a witch, tied her to a tree, and let her freeze to death in the elements. And another reason they thought she was a witch is because the people that accused her and that had killed her all ended up also dying. So they thought it was like a curse. There's just like so much.
And it goes back to witches, like the whole hysteria around witches back in Salem or even before then.
Yeah. Is there, I mean, aside from obvious, just like that is what happened to people being accused of being witches, is there like a true story element? I thought I haven't like looked this up in a long time, so I don't remember, but I thought there was some like inkling of like kind of a real like folklore story that this is kind of born out of, or is it entirely manufactured like Ellie herself for the movie?
I believe entirely manufactured, because I also went through that rabbit hole, and they do have Ellie Kendrick. Let me just make sure I'm saying her name right. Gosh, I have a lot of links, guys, that I'm going to post. Ellie Kedward, sorry. I have a ton of stuff and research. I even went deep into the history of witchcraft and witches in Ireland, because this is supposedly where she was born. Where she was from is actually Ireland, and that's where she was born. But so I was looking at that Ellie Kedward, but then I saw this piece of trivia. So this piece of trivia that said, in developing the mythology behind the film, the creators used many inspirations. For instance, several character names are near anagrams. So Ellie Kedward in The Blair Witch is Edward Kelly, a 16th century mystic, and Rustin Parr, the fictional 1940s child murderer, began as an anagram for Rasputin. So there's all these different things, and I'm like, well, wait a second. Okay, so if Ellie Kedward is an anagram, then she's not real. So then I went and dove in, and there was this site that looked like this real story. It went all the way back of Ellie, let's keep calling her Kelly, her parents, how they met, their whole history, then down into how they met, how they lived together, how they got married, when she got pregnant, like this whole thing, who found her, what happened after, her brothers or sisters, like everything. And I'm like, oh, this is really, really interesting. So then I started to pick things out. For example, they say that a wanderer, drifter, it was the coldest winter, right? And they called the winter, was it Snowtober or Wintober? The terrible Wintober of 17 something or other. Okay, so supposedly this historic winter, totally freezing. So I looked that up. There is a Wintober, but it was like in the 90s with someplace else. So then they said that the drifter dropped her off at this particular, and I don't have it written down, but I do have the notes, sect of nuns, right, at St. Mary's in this particular town. Looked up St. Mary's in that town, didn't see it. That particular sect of nuns was not even established till 100 years later. So they didn't even exist. So just poking a lot of holes within that story of the supposed real story of Ellie Kedward.
Gotcha. Okay.
Got it.
That's what led me down the rabbit hole, guys, by the way, of Ireland witches. Because I wanted to see if there was any mention of her in Ireland, and I couldn't find anything.
Dang.
Yeah, and
That
then
would've
you
been
find
cool.
stories
Yeah.
where, like, her dad, because supposedly her dad died, and then her mom died 3 days later, where her dad didn't die, and there's this whole torture thing. He was tortured, and that's where those sticks, come from. And even those sticks, what were they called? The tawans, or I couldn't find anything why they chose that word. So the famous sticks, you know what I'm talking about. The Blair Witch Project that looks like the little, I can't even find it now.
Looks like a stick figure, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Twana. Twana is what they're called, is what the director called them, Twanas, or stick people. And I looked that up, and Twana is it's a region, a Native American group of people. There's not like anything. Now, this little, stick people or, crafting things like that, that's real. And you see that a lot in things like this. But that particular word, Twana, only comes up as the actual name for those stick designs related to Blair Witch.
In relation to this movie. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
That scene is still really good with the sticks. I thought that's one of the best. For me, that's one of the best scenes of the movie, because I can't imagine coming out of your tent and seeing that. Because the pile of rocks, which are real, apparently, I did look that up. It's called, I'm probably going to say it wrong, it's called a cairn. It's from Scottish Gaelic, and it's a marker / burial mound. So that is a real thing. I had to look it up. I'm like, is that real? And that's scary, but the idea of somebody taking their time to hang all these sticks.
Yeah, silently.
Yeah. It's not okay.
They don't even wake up. Yeah.
Right. Like, no crunching of the leaves, because, it's all the leaves are on the ground. Like, there was no noise to hint that there was anybody stepping around them, putting all these sticks up. That's scary.
In relation to those sticks, something I wrote in my notes that I really liked was the pacing of this movie. It built enough tension, and then as soon as I felt like, God, I wish something would happen, literally I thought it in my head, I wish something would happen by now. My daughter goes, Mom, something's happening. And that's when they first walked upon all the sticks that they, hung around. So I felt like as soon as I was feeling like I needed something more, they gave it to me.
Yeah, but I do like that it takes a while to get there. Like like you're saying, the tension builds and the internal frustration builds among them to the point where, I don't know, like I just feel like the pacing is really good. I agree.
Something else about these sticks the stick figures are the totems of the Blair Witch, Eddie Kedward, and co-director Sánchez told Watch Mojo, the symbols act as a portal. This means once the students see the stick figures hung around their tents, they are not escaping the witch or the forest alive. I didn't even think of that as them being a portal. So, which opened up a whole lot of things for me, like, oh, that's why they would never be found. That's why no one's hearing them scream if they're kind of in this other worldly existence.
Yeah, I've always felt like this movie is like a I don't know what to call it, but like I've always felt like it's in this group of movies that I consider to be kind of like alternate reality or like time warpy type movies, because they are walking in one direction and going in a circle. And so they have definitely stumbled into some sort of, something that is not the way that it should be. And that's why they can't get out. And like you're saying, Felicia, no one can hear them. And something else that I realized when you were saying that, Eryka, about the cairns, is that there are 3. The first time that they wake up and they see them around the tent, not that they've walked up on them, but they're like placed around the tent like it's for them because they're gonna die.
Because they're gonna die. Foreshadowing for them. That's terrible. But that's cool. I didn't think about that being a portal. Have you guys watched Blair Witch, the one from 2016?
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of explains that a little bit further, which does explain a lot, because when nothing is more effective in this whole thing of being lost, when they get to that log and they're freaking out that they're at the same log again, right? Because they realize they've gone in a circle, and now they're even more terrified because they're never going to go home, right? Because they're just looping and ending up at the same log. And their reaction is, again, like, genuine is the right word. Because, I mean, I would be hysterical, probably. I'd be out of my... Like Mike, at some point, Mike goes really insane. For a minute there, he has just like a breakdown. And I think that's how you would be. I don't... Not everybody's going to be like, all right, let's fight this. It's going to be freak out because it's normal. And I don't know if it was Mike or Josh who's trying to rationalize, oh, my girlfriend's going to know I'm missing because she's going to realize I'm not back. But you're in a warp hole. Nobody's coming for you guys. That's awful.
I loved this with Josh because this would be my thinking. You would stop at some point in a panic and start rationalizing, okay, so these are the people that know I'm here. So if I don't make it to work the next day, they are going to send people out to find me. You would do that. It was so realistic.
I agree. And I love the different stages that they go through too. Like at first they're mad because they're lost, and then they're mad about not having the equipment back, and then they finally let go of the equipment, and it's like, okay, but we're going to get rescued, right? Like people are going to know we're missing. And then it becomes about survival. And I love all of these different stages that they go through. And I think it gives them all arcs, which is why I think ultimately this feels like a very satisfying movie, even if the end is like left open, kind of like all of the three characters have an arc by the end. They go through like a lot of phases, and you really get to, like, I feel like, peel back the humanity a little bit on each one of them in different ways. And so again, I just feel like that is what makes this movie work for me.
Love it.
Agree. The one thing I know, I think the minute they stepped into the woods, they're in this warp hole, they're under the influence of the witch, because something that Heather says made me go, She said that she likes to, on Sundays, she likes to go out for hikes. So to me, that means she has experience in hiking and maps and keeping direction. Yet in this whole movie, she claims to have an idea of where they're going, but she doesn't, because they're lost pretty much the whole time. So I think it's the minute they got there, like the minute they just went into this and had that idea of, we're going out here for the Blair Witch, I feel like that was just the beginning of the end for them, because she makes it sound like she's not an expert, but she knows what she's doing. And then that kind of contradicts it. And that's my explanation, that this witch is powerful.
I've never thought about it that way. That's really an interesting take, because I've always chalked it up, at least in the beginning of her getting them lost, I've always chalked that up to her own, like, overconfidence and hubris. Like, she wants this to be a success, and she's gonna, like, in her mind, it's her project. She's leading it. She has to be the one, you know what I mean? So she's just trucking right along. Yes, I know where we're going, even if she hasn't ever been there before. She's probably looked it up. She's looked at the maps, you know, she's feeling overconfident. But I've never thought about, like, right away they were fucked. So maybe she did know where they were going.
Right.
And it didn't matter.
Because, I mean, she's pretty, I don't want to use the word bossy, but she's controlling this situation. This is her project. Like you said, she really wants to make this happen. So I don't see her as someone not preparing, right? She doesn't seem like, oh, I'm just winging it out here and we're just going to stumble upon it if we do. I think she went and looked at the maps and really studied this. So that's my take, because then how does that make any sense? And I think that is the point too, to make you think like she's overconfident and maybe paint her so you don't like her. Because I also don't like her on other watches, but on this one, going with that in mind, I'm like, this is no one's fault. It's just the curse of this forest and the witch. It's her land. So you're stepping in it and now you're fucked.
Sorry.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, I don't mind her at all. To go back to that thing about, like, I mean, she is annoying, but, like, a lot of people fucking hate her and hate this movie because of that, because she's, like, an annoying character. But I agree that it adds to it and we kind of need it. And I think it's very human. Like, you know, people like this, you know?
Yeah.
People who are way overconfident or have this insane hubris or just want their thing to be a success. So they want to be controlling and they want to direct it. And so, like, she's annoying, but, like, I find her a very realistic human being as a character. And then, you know, you see her remorse later as she's, like, you know, apologizing. I'm sorry to Josh's mom, to Mike's mom. Like, this was my fault. I got us into this. It's my project. Like, despite what Mike says now, this was my fault. And she, like, totally recognizes it. Again, big arc for her. And I think also one of the things that you could, I think, have a qualm with in this movie is her continuing to shoot after they know they're, like, in some shit. But, like, yeah. I feel like that's something I could do if I were in this situation, because there's nothing else for you to do. Maybe you're just thinking, well, if we fucking die out here, at least I've documented it, and maybe they'll find these tapes and know what happened to us. There will be some closure for our families, like, you know, see what's going on out here. And so that doesn't bother me either, the fact that she continues to shoot.
Yeah, I really liked her, especially for this reason, because as an actor, right? I thought she did a really good job explaining. He's like, why are you recording everything? Because we're making a documentary. If you have that in your mind, you are a documentary filmmaker. You are going to document your experiences, right? And so I thought she was very realistic in the reason why she kept recording. That's what she does. Also, I thought, maintained this realistic type character. I thought was harder for her to do than the other guys because she is recording. And you need to make that realistic. Why are you still recording? Where the other guys, they were really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying they just need to freak out. They kind of, you know, and she's recording it and they just need to panic. And now she needs to not only panic, but also maintain the integrity of the movie we're watching and recording it and what we're seeing. So I really liked her, actually. She didn't irritate me at all, actually, but everybody else they did. TT was playing on her iPad, a little video game in the other room. And she says, "Girl, stop breathing so hard. Jeez." I'm like, TT, she's running. There's a witch chasing her. But, like, everybody was really irritated by her and I wasn't, which I thought was interesting because it's usually the other way around.
Something else that, because I also was like, why are you still filming? I mean, you can argue that with any found footage, to be fair.
Yeah.
But with this one, I'm like, why are you still filming? But there was a point where I think it was Mike who got the camera and was filming her. And I don't know if she said it or someone said it. Oh, I understand why you keep filming because it doesn't seem real from this end.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. I'm like, well, that's a great answer because that's true. Things look so different from your camera. Even on your phone, it looks different versus reality. So I can see how that may be comforting in this bad situation. And yeah, just you documented it for your family. You have some closure out there, which I think I thought it was great. I forgot that the movie opened with I don't know what that's called, the little found footage classic thing at the beginning where it says, these people went and filmed this is their footage. I don't remember that being there, which is great because then that's where we go from there for all found footage after this movie. That whole little, it's not a title card, but kind of the little story.
Little disclaimer.
It was so cool.
Disclaimer in the beginning.
It was so cool. I'm like, oh my God, they had it too. I didn't remember. Even they had it.
I loved all of these little moments too, Eryka. Like just this conversation, it was so realistic. My notes are riddled with things like little comments. No redneck is this creative. You know, like this just little banter back and forth. Or when they're like, did you hear that baby? And he goes, shut the fuck up. There's no fucking baby. You know, because you're so scared. And you're just like, just stop saying that about the baby. When they start singing America, you know, all of these things felt so real. They're so small, but it made it feel so real. The reactions.
I loved her comments about like, we're in America. Like, I don't know what that was supposed to mean, really. Like, even, you know, because like, of course you can still get lost in the woods, but it felt like something somebody would be reaching to say to just, you know, placate everybody. You can't be lost for that long in America. Like, what? Of course you can, but sure. Yeah.
And she brought that up twice, I think. Like, she was doing that for her. I think. She was just trying to reassure herself. She's like, it's 1999. Oh, no, it's actually in 1994. I didn't even realize they're taking place in 1994. It's modern times. We don't get lost. Yes, you do. You can still do it now in 2023. So.
Yes. I have here sound logic with the fires. To just any of these little elements that make you feel like, oh, yeah, I would think that too. And he's like, okay, we got screwed with the last 2 nights, but we had fires. So let's not do a fire tonight. Turn off the camera lights. Maybe they won't be able to find us. I was just like, yeah. You know, instead of like, come on. I just love that.
Yeah.
It's comforting, right? Like you're creating ways for your mind to be at ease. And this is how you rationalize it, by coming up with all these supposed rationales for everything, so that you feel a little bit better in this horrible situation. It's so bad.
I have the idea for, I thought that you would appreciate this, Eryka. The idea for the movie came from a couple pages. First, it was only 35 pages long.
Yes.
So amazing. But it was a couple. So the co-director, Daniel Myrick, said he grew up around the woods and swamps of Florida. And for a long time, I had this idea of seeing a stick figure hanging from a tree, and it creeped the hell out of me. So Ed Sánchez, a friend from university who ended up co-directing, helped me work it into that idea into 35-page treatment where the students go and to look for the Blair Witch. Yep. So holla, holla, Florida. And then also, coupled with, while film students at the University of Central Florida, Daniel and Eduardo, were inspired to make the film after realizing that they found documentaries on paranormal phenomena scarier than traditional horror movies. So they decided to combine both of those styles to create the movie.
Oh, I love it. I love the Florida element. And he's not wrong. The swamps out here, like when I've gone out, I mean, the movie has done it. It's made me scared. And yes, I'm scared of the wildlife, but you just never know. You never know what's out there. So it's the nature, especially forests or swamps, anything with a lot of trees, right? They have this haunting appearance to them. I don't know if it's because I've watched too many horror movies and this one in particular, but they always have that haunting vibe. I mean, I'm all for it, but sometimes I'm like, ooh, is something going to be around that trail?
Yeah. I agree with him. Like in any movie where it's out in the forest, I think there was this show, The Detectives or whatever. Anyways, I'm not going to try to remember that. But where you're out in the wilderness and there's something that was totally made by someone. It wasn't just the trees growing together. And it's hanging there. It could even just be an abandoned baby doll that maybe some campers accidentally abandoned. But now you're going like, oh my God, what is this creepy ass baby doll in the forest? And it immediately is scary.
I get it.
I love how they really, so there's a little bit of controversy. So how they presented it as reality, creating the documentary and putting it on the Sci-Fi Channel, which I watched the documentary and again, all of these extra people were Very, very good and realistic. They had a website which has now been taken down, so I couldn't find it, but they had a website about, help find these teenagers, the newspaper articles. My husband was like, yeah, I remember seeing a newspaper article, right? And I'm like, yep. And then also when the Blair Witch Project premiered at the Sundance Film Festival at midnight on January 23rd, 1999, its promotional marketing campaign listed the actors as either missing or deceased. So all of this reality around it, I love it because it's so creepy. But then there's the other side where people question the ethics of it, of passing this off as something real to that extent. Remember when we watched The Fourth Kind? They also got really upset about that because you're causing a panic and a hysteria and it's not real, and the ethical elements of that.
Oh. I mean, I didn't think about that, but I thought it was fun. Even I remembered it. I'm like, ooh, what is this? And I remember as a kid thinking, and they're actually airing this? Like, they're airing footage of people who are lost? Like, what is it? Because I wasn't allowed to watch this movie at the time. I think I watched it when I was a younger teenager. But I didn't even think about it causing a negative effect. I guess I can kind of see that because then you're over panicking for nothing.
Kind of wise. Was it like, I hope I'm saying this right, but War of the Worlds, Orson Welles, right? This was the radio show.
Yeah.
And so when people tuned in a little late and didn't realize it was a story and thought it was real and just like the mass hysteria. I know the town was just overrun by people coming to the town, going through the forest, and they're like, it's not real. They were so over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I'm not judging. It was fun. I liked
fun.
How I was so obsessed. And so I experienced it much older than you, Eryk. I was 22 and I had this same reaction. I was like, what is going on? Oh my God, is this real? And in that rabbit hole of trying to figure it out. And it was so much fun. I just loved it. I know at some point, I don't remember when I realized it wasn't real. So it didn't traumatize me. I wasn't upset about it. It was fun.
Me either. I was just like, oh, well, because I was a kid, I'm like, oh, wow, at least they're okay.
Heather Donahue's mom actually received sympathy cards from people who believed her daughter was missing.
Oh my God.
That's awful, but really funny at the same time.
That's fucking amazing, dude. Like that, it's genius marketing. Like
it is.
Mm-hmm. I could see, I'm not saying, that I necessarily have an opinion on the morality or the ethics of it, because I could see how that could be problematic, but like, you can't deny that it was fucking genius guerrilla marketing. Like, that's fucking crazy. I saw it also when I was like a young teen, Eryka. I think I watched it when I was 14 and I thought it was real, but I was like so scared to like look into it that I didn't. Yeah. I just wanted to not think about it again, I think. So I didn't even go and look it up. I just was like, fuck, that's scary.
I really dig this. We dug it as well when we were talking about Nope. All the extra stuff added. Yeah. And they weren't trying to pass Nope off necessarily as being real, but the extra websites and different elements made it real life interactive versus just showing up at the movie, watching the movie and leaving. I love that shit.
Me too. I've been thinking about that with this Barbie movie. Like this level of marketing for this Barbie movie is insane. Unlike anything I've ever seen before in terms of just like, it is every fucking where. Like, they must be spending untold amounts of money to just advertise everywhere. And it's made me think about, because I work for an advertising / marketing agency, like we talk a lot about like advertising and marketing for products and stuff, but not a ton about movies. And I was thinking the same thing, Felicia. Like when you think about how interesting and effective this was, like, we did get some of that last year, too, with Nope. And I feel like with Barbarian. Like, Barbarian didn't do as much, I don't think in real life stuff. But I feel like the trailer was very different than the movie experience. And that in itself is a marketing strategy. So it's just interesting to look into.
This Barbie movie experience, sorry guys, I know we're talking about the Blair Witch, but I just have to say, I love it. It is so much fun. Everybody's on board. When we went to the movie theater, there were all of these people dressed like Barbies or dressed up to the nines in their outfits that as close to Barbie as they could. And being in this experience, I'm just out here in Arizona and all these people showing up dressed like Barbie. My daughter did as well. And it was so fun. The energy was so fun. I even see, like every Friday I share, there's this site that always creates a new like Shabbat Shalom post for Fridays. And last Friday, it was the Barbie logo. So it was like
I saw
everywhere.
it.
Yes,
It was great.
So much fun. The energy is just so much fun. And so I think that actually does circle back to what we're talking about here. Just all of this energy and excitement and extra stuff that's being done to market these movies. And just, it's for us. I mean, it's for them to make money, but they make money because it's exciting for us.
Right.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because with Barbie, it's the same thing here. I went at 10 in the morning. It was a pretty full theater. Every woman in that theater had a pink shirt or some pink, including me. I wore a pink shirt. I'm like, nobody's going to see me, but I don't care. I want to participate in this marketing and all of it. And I think it's hard to do nowadays versus back then in 1999. It was so much easier to make up this background that it's real versus now. I don't think you can really get away with it because they'll find out in 2 seconds that it's, just marketing. So in any other way we can participate in marketing with movies and shows, it's fun. And I agree, Tawny, with Barbarian. The smart marketing on that was not marketing it to like give it away, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. I think a lot of horror movies should do that because you go in so blind and you're like, what just happened in this movie versus giving it all away in the trailer. But great marketing. I think they set a tone for marketing in movies and not just horror, just movies in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it memorable for sure, right? When you have that experience.
100%.
This will tie together Barbie and the Blair Witch Project, okay? Because we're just talking about women. I just had to share this because it made me angry. But I was looking up witches, like I mentioned, and Ellie Kedward, how they mentioned it could be an anagram for Edward Kelly. So I looked up who Edward Kelly was, and he was an occultist, a scryer, all of this sort of thing. And this is what I've noticed that led me really down a rabbit hole that made me angry. A woman could just make tea with some flowers to help your tummy, and you're a witch, and you are raped and beaten and burned at the stake. Okay. This guy was balls to the wall. I'm an occultist. I look into crystal balls. I read astrology. I make herbs. A witch. And he was wealthy. And he was men who even, don't even hide that they're doing these things are seen as counsel to very famous or like wealthy people, important people. He was super rich. The only reason at the end of the day that he was imprisoned and died was because he said that he could turn metals into gold, and he wasn't able to do it, and they got pissed off.
They were like, false advertising.
Wow, false advertising.
He got killed for false advertising. But a witch, again, picks some flowers and knows that it settles her tummy, and she's killed as a witch. This is not cool.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
It is. I watched, I don't know where I watched it last year, and it was stating some facts about witches, right? The quote unquote witch. And one of them is the broom. Right? That, they fly on brooms. And no, it was that women were using brooms to clean houses back then. And apparently that's witchcraft. And it was then turned into that they're flying them. So they're being punished for being innovative. And that's how they got burned for cleaning a house.
You fucks.
Go figure.
You fucks.
Oh, you guys, I I just looked over here because I have a little tiny collection of books that I cherish that have changed my life. And one of them is the Malleus Maleficarum, which was the Catholic Church's guide on how to find and torture women to prove that they were witches. And it was published by the Catholic Church way back in the day. And that was the guide that the people used. So amazing. And I took this class with Dr. Pandya at Cal State Long Beach, and it was witchcraft. And we did this exercise where we broke up the classroom in two sides, and one side was trying to defend the person that wasn't a witch. The person wasn't a witch, and they were trying to defend. That's the side I got put on. And the other side was trying to prove, no, they were a witch. And through that whole exercise, there was no way you could prove you weren't a witch. Period.
Yeah.
No way.
Wow.
Because even the tortures that they did, if they're a witch, they, won't drown or whatever. They're killing people left and right. But this way, because even if you're like, no, I was at this place with Eryka. So no, Eryka was there with me. And Eryka would be like, yeah, she was there. There's no way she was murdering that person. They go, she bewitched you, Eryka, to think that she was there.
God.
But there was just no way you could
no way
defend
to
yourself. Yeah, it was an incredible class, but
Fucking bullshit. Couldn't even clean.
Couldn't even
I
clean.
know.
Couldn't even make tea.
Couldn't even make tea for
With
your
herbs.
tummy.
Yeah. Oh, because one of the things they were saying about the Blair Witch in like the lore of it was that she pinpricked these children, their fingers to bleed them out. Because that used to be a thing. Like if you had if you were sick, doctors would cut you.
Bloodletting. Yeah.
Bloodletting. Thank you for reminding me what that was called. Bloodletting. So that she had done that and the kids went and told their parents and they were like, witchcraft. And so that was one of the things that made them think she was a witch.
It's
That
crazy.
is so infuriating. Yeah.
It could be anyone with a handicap, anyone who looked different, or anyone who was maybe particularly very beautiful and turned men's heads. And the women didn't like that. She was bewitching them, all kinds of stuff. Women who were very strong, ran their own businesses, anything that honestly, what am I trying to say? Not challenged, but, and not offended, but, would make the other person feel insecure, right? I'm not thinking
like
of what the word is.
intimidating.
Yeah, anything like that. If they could just throw that witch thing at them, unless you were a man, then you'd make lots of money.
Apparently.
Then you were
That's a
counsel.
cool exercise, though, that your professor had you guys do. That's pretty cool.
It was so fun, so fun.
Yeah. We would be screwed.
Yes. Oh, we would all be screwed. Yeah, unless one of us was like, yeah,
And I
she
have
bewitched
cats.
me. It's her.
Yeah.
It's her. She made me think that this liking horror was okay. It was all
Right,
Eryka.
right.
Yeah.
It's my fault. And I have cats, so even worse.
Yes.
Honestly, didn't that happen a lot though? Yeah, like people would be fucked and they knew they were fucked. So the only thing you could do was throw the blame to someone else and just hope that you came out okay on the other side. It is like, joking aside, that was
terrifying,
terrible.
You would have to have the strongest will to be facing being burned alive.
Ugh.
Yes.
To stand your ground and say, no, Eryka is not a witch. I'm just picking on Eryka. No,
okay.
She is not. Even threatening that now I'm going to be burned alive. And to be that resolute, that would be hard. I like to think I would, but dude, I don't know. That'd be scary.
I don't know. That's rough, yeah.
Eryka, let's just run away. Maybe we just run away deep into the forest.
That's why they did it. They're
Yes.
like, fuck it. We're just going to run into the forest and do our own shit. Clean our house, have cats, make tea.
Yeah, make tea.
Yeah,
We're
all
good.
of these scary old crones in the woods. That's why, you guys. Because they couldn't even sweep. They couldn't even clean their houses. They had to go out into the forest and like seclude themselves to save their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's really sad, actually. Joking aside as well. It's like,
Yeah, I know. I'm sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really sad.
And
All
it
right, guys,
really
I don't have any-
wasn't that long ago when you
No.
think about it.
Mm-mm.
In terms of lifetime, it's not that long ago. But anyway.
No,
And
just
there
like
are still
100
people.
years ago, even,
Yeah.
right?
There's still people who believe that there are witches out there. You know what I mean? Like,
That's true.
It's not the level where we're burning people alive, but I mean, you know, I think that line of thinking is still well and alive in some groups of people, and that is fucking scary.
Well, even actually all thinking, because even regardless of the label of witch, people tend to group up together against a specific group of people, type of people, people who like certain things, whatever it is, and attack them in like modern day witch hunts, but not necessarily witch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
Stop doing it, you guys. Just stop.
Stop it.
Let people sweep their floors and make their tea. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But seriously, though, let people be people into their things. All right, guys. I don't have, ladies, anything else. What do you guys have? Do you have anything?
I just had a quick random question because they mentioned like the Wicked Witch of the whatever. They were like, which witch was bad? And they were like, oh, the West is bad. We should go East. Is that true? I didn't look it up. Do you guys know?
Wizard of Oz. I believe they were
I don't know
about,
either.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
So the Wicked Witch of the West was the bad one. Yes.
Okay.
And
I just thought it
was the good one.
I thought it would have been interesting if they had it backwards.
It would be.
Ooh, yeah, it would be.
Okay.
The Wicked Witch was the West one.
Okay. I caught that too. That was an interesting little, somewhat comedic relief.
Yeah.
But not. It's just you're so desperate for something positive, right? And being lost in the woods that let's just bring up Wizard of Oz. Something very old and something from your childhood. It's interesting that he brought that up.
Yeah, let's make a gamble, right? Let's gamble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The choice we make does not seem to matter, so why not?
Exactly. I have nothing else either.
That was it for me.
All right. Let's rate this bad boy.
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right. Let's go ahead and start with our distinguished guest. Eryka, out of 5, what would you rate this movie?
Okay. I'm actually going to give this a 4.1.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So even though, like I said, earbud. Like I said, I know I said I was underwhelmed, but as we talk about it, there's so much to like about it that it's fine. And the characters really bring you in. I still got scared at the end, and the biggest scare is that fear of being lost, because it's very real, and you get sucked into it. I like knowing about the lore. I think out of a lot of horror stories, this one's a really good one. Like, it's creepy because it goes back to a long time ago. It involves not only a potential witch, but then somebody real. And I can still watch this at any time, so I still give it a 4.1 because it is still a really well-made movie, and I admire it and always will. So 4.1.
Nice. All right. Tawny, what would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give. I can't not give this a 5 out of 5. It's like I said it in the beginning. It's like a near perfect movie for me. I love it. I've always loved it. I can't.
This is your first 5 of the year.
Is it really?
Yes. This is
Okay.
your first 5 of 2023.
Oh,
Wow.
And I'm here. Yes.
Oh my
Yay.
gosh, that's amazing.
I've already sung its praises.
Yeah,
but
you
I
haven't even like gotten close to a 5. Your highest scores are 4.25 this year for Dawn of the Dead, Infinity Pool. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Tawny does not give 5s out easily. That's why.
I don't. I think we've done the math, and at least last year or something, I think I gave out half as many as you or something, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I get real
I'm a little
excited.
stingy.
I get real excited and
Yeah.
I go all in.
Yeah.
I push in all my chips when I get excited about a movie.
Yeah, I just love it. I don't know what to say. It's like hard even to like quantify. It's just the whole thing is fucking great. I love the feeling of getting lost, like you said, Eryka. I love the concept. The acting is impeccable. The fucking dialogue's impeccable. I love the arcs that these people have and the way that it's like a movie about the human condition, basically. Like, I don't know. And I love the low budget nature of it. You know, we had talked about this in Megan is Missing too. Like, I think this works because it's so fucking low budget and, you know, rough looking and feeling. Oh, I just love it. It's my favorite. One of my favorites of all time. I'll never not love it. I'm sorry.
All right.
And Felicia.
That means it's my turn.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I was going to stick with mine. So, like I mentioned in the very beginning, I'm right between you both. I'm giving it a 3.9. And a 3.9, when I went back and I look at my other scores, the movies that I've rated a 4, I did have a more enjoyable experience watching those movies. The other movie I gave a 3.9 was Possum, which I loved. And I feel like it was the same experience. Definitely what would have made it more for me is if there was just those elements I mentioned in the beginning of more scary things, something uncanny. Let me see something uncanny that makes me scared versus just them screaming about it. Or like you mentioned, Tawny, better audio quality so I can hear the thing and experience that fear with them. That would have boosted me up. Because other than that, I think it's phenomenal. The acting, everything else is really excellent.
Even the like little bundle that they unwrap. I've watched this scene specifically about 1 billion fucking times, and I can never tell. I can never tell what's supposed to be in that bundle. And I think I've read that it's supposed to be his ear. But this time I thought I saw hair.
There was hair,
and Jade thought there was teeth.
It's teeth and hair.
It is, okay. For some reason I thought it was supposed to be an ear. But I've just like never really been able to tell even what's in there. I don't think you need to, right? But it would be nice to be able to make out what it is to be fully scared of it. But that's just another example, I think, Felicia, of like, it'd be nice to just have it a little more clear.
Yeah, my oldest was like, it's his scalp. It's his scalp.
I thought it was brain.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought it was pieces of his brain.
But teeth and hair, that's very much in line with witchcraft, right? Because those are often used. All right. Well, that was awesome and fun. Can't wait to have you back, Eryka. I can't wait because it was so fun talking to you. Can you please share with everyone, remind everybody where they can find you, drop all that stuff?
Sure. So on Instagram, you can follow us on Horror Cafe Podcast. Same thing on Facebook. We're on all the major podcast platforms. And I'm also on HMC. So check them out at HMC Studios for the in the news and the random movie reviews or list segments. And would love to have you guys over there. And we would love to have you ladies on as well. You guys are a good time.
I was hoping she was going to invite us, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Of course.
We can invite ourselves. Yeah.
I was like, wait.
And you can. Absolutely. We're past that. Invite yourselves over.
Oh my gosh. We would love to. I just absolutely love chatting with you. So much fun. Just love you so much. It's awesome.
Thanks for having me here. I've been so excited to finally have this sit down and on this movie. So exciting.
And we have a side list of movies we want to talk to you about. Like Tawny and I will go, this movie. No, gosh, we got to have Eryka on for that. We got to talk to her about it. So one of those being
I'm
Men.
in. Oh, please. By all
Top
means.
of the list.
Top of the list. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we loved having you. Our next episode is going to be Talk to Me. Okay. I looked at Tawny just to make sure because we kind of just chatted back and forth. I need to figure out time between the cruise and getting home to go to the movie theater to watch it, but I think I can.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's do it.
If not,
then
it's
going to be
a dark song.
Yeah. Ooh, I like this. It's a little mystery, you guys. It's going to be one of those two movies. So we'll see. I like that. All right. If you like us, please do follow us on Instagram at twochicksandahorrorflick or search for us on your favorite social media platform and you can follow us there. What else, Tawny?
You can support the show by You can support the show by giving us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. And that's it. Thanks again, Eryka, for being here.
Thank you.
We hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.